Hi guys, welcome to Coturnix Corner. My name's Terry, and in this video we're going to be reviewing the Hatching Time CT60 SH incubator. This review is also going to apply to the CT120 and the CT180 models because they're basically the same incubator, just a little bit difference in size and volume. These are the latest additions to Hatching Time's incubator lineup, and they are produced by a company called Chamuka, and Chamuka has been designing and building incubators for over 30 years. This model here is from their setter hatcher incubator line, and they are designed to incubate and hatch eggs all in one box. Hatching Time does offer a series of individual hatchers and individual setters, and you can check that out on their website at hatchingtime.com. Okay, first off, this incubator measures 18 inches high, 14.5 inches wide, and 24 inches deep, and weighs approximately 29 pounds. The framework on the unit and the doors is anodized aluminum, and with what feels like aluminum sheet metal sandwiched over top of 1/2 inch or 5/8 inch insulation material. This unit has two doors, a front door and a back door, which helps greatly with cleaning the incubator. It also allows you to access some of the hardware on the back side of the incubator, and I'll go a little bit more into that deeper into this video. The temperature and humidity is controlled by automatic sensors and are connected to a regulator which is hard mounted on top of the cabinet. The larger humidity reservoir sits on top of the cabinet, and it feeds a smaller reservoir. This is the vaporizer tank, which feeds vaporized water into the incubator to help raise humidity. The regulator has adjustable temperature and humidity settings, along with a high-low temperature alarm and a high-low humidity alarm. And it also has room temperature sensing capabilities. It can sense the temperature and humidity of the surrounding environment. It also has a feature known as active periodic cooling, which can be programmed to cool the incubator temperatures inside to simulate a hen leaving the nest and the eggs actually lowering in temperature. The incubator has fully automatic egg turners. This model comes with 2 egg turners and 2 of the plastic hatching baskets, they call them. I call them hatching boxes. While you can hatch out quail eggs in this turner with the supplied rails, I would highly recommend that you get the quail rails. It's just going to allow you to be able to put a few more eggs in the racks and get you a higher yield out of the incubator. I think that Hatching Time states that this model incubator will hold between 108 and 156 eggs, I believe it is. You can check that on their website to get an exact number. Okay, when I got the incubator, it arrived, I believe either FedEx or UPS brought the package. It was very nicely boxed, had one large box that had everything in it. The box was reinforced with side cardboard struts all the way around the box to prevent it from being crushed. The entire contents of the incubator, like the turners and the baskets, were bubble wrapped. Some of the material was stuck inside the box itself, like the turners and the baskets, and all the other stuff like the plugs and the water containers, they were all individually bubble wrapped and in separate cartons boxed up in the original big box. So I want to give you my thoughts on the incubator and the build quality of this incubator. First off, I love the build quality. Everything seems to be nice and tight. The hinges and the doorknobs and the latches are all made out of plastic, but they seem like a heavy-duty ABS plastic. They are tight. There's no wobble or give to them. Everything opens and closes nicely. The door's got a rubber seal around it, so it seals really good. The anodized frame is a plus and gives the cabinet a sturdy feel to it. There is a window on the front of the cabinet which allows you to peek inside to see if there's any activity when during lockdown. But due to the size and shape of the window, it is a bit distorted when looking through the window. There is also an interior light that you can turn on by pressing this lower right hand button on the regulator, and that light will just give you a little bit better viewing ability to inside the cabinet. On the right side of the cabinet are 2 adjustable vents to deliver fresh air into the cabinet and help with fine-tuning the temperatures and humidity. It took me a minute to figure out how to adjust the vents, but if you reach inside the cabinet, you can actually push on the inside of the vent and then grab it and turn it on the outside, and it adjusts pretty easy to the desired position. I love the second door on the back. It makes accessing the fan and cleaning the interior much easier than just having a single front door. Gives you access to the fan, to the ventilation chambers, to the humidity horn that comes inside. Just give you a whole lot more accessibility to get in there and clean things out and make sure that everything's working correctly. The horn on the inside comes through the side of the cabinet and is actually part of this tank design. This tank actually slides into that horn, and I'll show you that a little bit close up here in a second. But what that does is this reservoir here, this vaporizer vaporizes the water, and it gets drawn into the cabinet by vacuum that the fan is supplying, and it's drawing it through that horn to the inside of the unit. Okay, the fan is oriented so the air is drawn away from the eggs and circulates the air throughout the box to keep the temperature pretty much even throughout. The fan is rather large, but seems to do a good job of circulating the air and not drying out the humidity. Included is a water tray in the bottom of the incubator that you can add water to help bring up your humidity levels. Assembly of the external humidity controller and reservoirs is very simple, although I did have an issue with the barbed fitting on the top reservoir. I think I over tightened it and stripped it, and I had a little bit of a leak there. But I shot a text over to Ryan at Hatching Time, and he had one in the mail to me the next day. The regulator is simple to hook up. You have one power cord on the back of the regulator and 2 plugs that plug into the side. The one that plugs into the right side of the regulator is your power control for your egg turners, and the one that plugs into the left side of the regulator, as you're looking at it, is your power supply down to your humidifier. To adjust the regulator temperatures, you just press and hold. The T button, which is the upper left-hand button as you're looking at the regulator, and it will start to flash, and then you use the right 2 buttons to raise the temperature up or down. To set the humidity, you press and hold the H button, which is the lower button on the left-hand side, and using the arrows adjust your humidity up and down. There are other settings that you can use on this controller, and they are included in the supplied manual. It tells you how to adjust all those settings inside the manual. Also inside the box came a product support sheet, which basically gives you links to assembly videos on the Hatching Time website. So that's pretty handy. The alarm settings can also be adjusted. I left them at the factory settings, but if you want to adjust them, the manual will also describe how to do that. So I did 2 hatches with this incubator. A dry hatch using a package of shipped eggs that I got in, and the second was a wet hatch that I did with my own eggs. Setting the humidity levels to 40%. Now this is for the wet hatch. I set the humidity levels to 40% during the first 14 days, and then bumped it up to 65% at lockdown. I monitored the temperature inside the cabinet with a couple different manual meat thermometers, and I did not find any cold spots or overly warm spots. So the circulation inside the box is pretty decent, so where you're not going to have a problem with that. The humidity gauge that I used was just a cheap hygrometer from Home Depot. I actually had 2 of them in the box, and they both matched within 1 point what the hygrometer on the regulator said. Both hatches went surprisingly well. On the shipped eggs, I had 49 chicks hatch out of 60, and 28 hatched out of 30 eggs of the eggs that I supplied. On the dry hatch, what I did was I unplugged the humidifier unit for the first 14 days because I just wanted to use room humidity or room level humidity. And then when I went into lockdown, I plugged in the humidifier and I set the humidity on the regulator to 65%. I would recommend ordering these quail rails. Like I said earlier, they just slide into the existing rails to give you a little more room. I think the only issue you might have with these quail rails is they're sized for standard size quail eggs. Once you start getting eggs that are, 15, 16, 17 grams, you're going to have a hard time fitting 2 rows of eggs in there. So you probably have to stagger them, which is what I ended up having to do. Cleaning the unit after the hatch was a breeze. Basically, I unplugged everything. I took it outside. I opened both doors, and being very careful, I just hosed the inside of it out, and then I wiped it down with some disinfectant and paper towels, and got it cleaned right up. And the turners and the hatching baskets, same thing. Just basically hose them off. And the only thing I did on the hatching basket I do want to mention is I lined the bottom of the hatching basket with a drawer liner material. I don't like, plastic is a little slippery in my opinion, and I don't want to have any issues with chicks getting splay leg or anything. All in all, I was very happy with the results of this incubator. It seemed to do what it was intended to do. Some of the features that they put into this box, I wish I'd have thought of when I did my DIY build, but I think what I'm going to do is this incubator I think I'm going to make this a setter only box and then use my DIY boxes as hatchers. Not because this box will have any issues with hatching, it's just that I want to keep this one clean and kind of new looking. So if I can just incubate the eggs in this box, switch them over to my DIY incubators, then I think I'm good to go. I also think that this incubator is on the professional level as far as incubators go. I mean, I know this is the smallest model in this series of incubators, but like I say, if you go on the Hatching Time website, they do have larger boxes. If you want a setter only box or hatcher only boxes, I think they have a box that'll do up to 4,000 eggs, I believe it is, one of the bigger ones. So check them out if you're looking for more of a commercial box. But if you're looking for a box that if you hatch on the scale that I do, probably a few hundred eggs a month, this smallest model here would do you more than fine. If you do a little bit more than that, like I say, they have the CT120 and the CT180. So you've got a couple different boxes that you can choose from. Okay guys, so when I first got this incubator, I thought that I would, put it through its paces and give it a thorough review, find out, nitpick it to death if I could. But to be honest with you, this box for the 2 hatches that I did with it, they were pretty much flawless. I mean, I set the eggs, I forgot about them for 14 days. I did monitor the temperatures, make sure that I didn't have hot and cold spots. I monitored the humidity. 1 tank of this large tank of water lasted the entire hatch on the wet hatch. It kept my humidity at 40% during the first 14 days. Went into lockdown, bumped it up to 65%. and it kept the humidity levels right where it's supposed to be. So I only had to fill the tank once, and that's a plus in my eyes. If there was one thing that I could pick out about this incubator, nothing with the incubator itself. I like the incubator. I would like a little bit bigger viewing window on the front. To me, that's not really a deal breaker. I love the fact that it's got a second door that I can open up and check on stuff from the back. I love that the egg turners have quick disconnect plugs inside the box, so you can just unplug them, slide your rack out, and slide it back in. You don't have, like on my DIY incubators, you don't have cords coming out the door. So I think they've done a pretty good job of addressing needs and building an incubator that is going to satisfy all of the poultry market, whether it's quail eggs, turkey eggs, duck eggs, chicken eggs, whatever. These boxes will do it. The only thing that I would nitpick, actually there's two things that I'm going to nitpick, and these are not deal breakers at all. The quail rails, I wish they had a quail rail that was sized for jumbo eggs. Maybe have a standard egg size and then a jumbo egg size. And then also on these hatching trays or baskets, they only take up about 2/3 of the width of the incubator. So I would like to see these a little bit deeper, just to give me a little more room for eggs when I put them in there for hatching. Because if you put a full rack of eggs in the turner, and then you move those eggs into one hatching box or a hatching basket, your eggs are going to be close together. They're going to be basically side by side and touching. So like I say, it's not a deal breaker, guys. To have a crowded hatching basket is really not that big of a deal. It's not going to prevent you from having a successful hatch. It's just going to be a little crowded as the chicks start hatching out, and they're going to be stumbling over all the other eggs. So, okay, guys. So I do have to say that I really like this incubator. I don't want to give it a number on a scale of 1 to 10, but I would say it's going to be up at the top end of that scale. Like I said, the only two issues that I could nitpick about would be the egg turner sizes, and maybe if you can make them baskets just a little bit longer. But the box itself is sturdy, it's sound, it's sealed good. It doesn't seem to kick on near as often as my DIY incubators, and obviously that's because it's got good door seals. The insulation is it holds that heat real well. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and found the information useful. If you have any other questions on these incubators or some of the other models that they carry, check out their website at HATCHINGTIME.com. You can also give them a call and talk to them directly. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do so. It helps me out. You can get notified of any new and upcoming videos if you hit the notification bell. So guys, thanks for joining me today, and we'll see you on the next one.